Shalom. I want to give all praises, honors, and glories to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem Kakodash, and double honors to the apostles and others of great millstone, and salutations to the hopeful elect. This is your brother, I am Noble Allah from GMS Chicago, and it's the October the 1st. All right, there's so much going on in the news. All right, the government shutdown has been started. All right, so basically the government is currently shut down. The Senate has failed to pass, a funding bill and shit. And yeah, the government shutdown is really, this time it's different. All right, and the news are saying that it's different this time. Even preppers are saying that it's going to be different this time. And by the way how they were explaining it, it really seems that it's going to get a lot worse for Jake. All right, because Jake, are the only ones, pretty much, they make up the majority of the ones that are living in poverty, all right, here in America. All right, our people, they barely, they always have been and barely can't even get by. They barely have enough. All right, they're living in the ghettos, in small neighborhoods, all cramped up together and shit, and they mainly rely on food stamps. All right, but as this government goes on, all right, what I believe is that Esau is using this government shutdown to incite chaos. All right, taking away, these people's benefits, the SNAP benefits, all right, the Medicaid and all this other crap. All this shit that mainly Jake relies on. But first, it's going to start with, federal workers, all right, workers that basically work for the government. And I'm not too sure about this too, but law enforcement, which I believe are also police officers, will also affect them. It's going to affect ICE agents, Border Patrol, National Guard, all right? They're going to have to work without pay, furloughed, basically, all right? But nonetheless, yesterday, you also had Pete Hexeth, all right, over there in Quantico, Virginia, who held a speech, all right, meeting with 800 generals, or I think it was more than that. But I was listening to that speech, and what it sounded like is that he's basically telling all the generals to get their shit straight, because there's about to be basically chaos here in America. It's not exactly what it said, but we can very well see that Esau is making big major moves right now. All right, and what I've heard from the elders as they were explaining it, all right, basically you got those who are going to fight for the law of the land, and you got those who are basically standing up with Trump. All right, so both sides are basically going to come at each other, and which I heard from my elders is that that division is real. All right, you got all kinds of division now at this very time. Well, now let's bring out Egyptian against Egyptian. But from that speech, it sounded real tyrannical. Exercising power in a cruel or arbitrary way. All right, and that's what you heard from Esau's mouth. All right, nothing but tyrannical. All right, because that man, Pete Hexeth, all right, he didn't even stutter. All right, he didn't say no ums, ahs, or none of that shit. All right, he got straight to the point. His speech was loud and clear. All right, and now since he gave out that speech, it seems like they're about to really exercise their tyrannical military, all right, against U.S. citizens, all right, because of the coming troubles that are about to hit here in America. All right, America's financially fucked. All right, we're already in the government shutdown, and it's going to get worse if it continues to be like this. All right, to the point where SNAP benefits are going to be cut off. Now let's bring out that Egyptian against Egyptian, because that's what we're about to see. All right. right. This Isaiah chapter 19, verse 2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And that's, what we're beginning to see right now, all right? It's just verbally talking, them talking shit to each other on both sides. But, got people that are racially divided, people that are, Esau is politically divided, even, right? As what the scripture says, a nation divided against itself cannot stand. If Esau be divided against himself, he cannot stand, right? Saying cast out sin cannot stand. And you see that politically. And, well, they're blaming each other on the government shutdown. Blaming both sides. It's hilarious. The U.S. government shuts down after Senate fails to advance both parties' bills. But really, they're blaming each other right now. A lot of arguments. You see, Democrats and Republicans blame each other as government closes down. Let the government shut down, blame games begin. Damn. So shit's really happening. I mean, it hasn't gotten worse just yet, but it's getting there. All right? This is just the first day. See? Government shutdown live updates as up to 750,000 federal workers face furlough, meaning that they're going to have to go without pay. And hey, Lord willing, this is it. But you always have those moments when Esau would just pass a bill or they reach something and avert a government shutdown. But I don't think this time that will be happening because Esau needs chaos to begin. All right. You see, Esau has all the military all laid out and shit. All right, but Esau's preparing for something big. Esau's preparing. Esau is trying to incite chaos. All right, order ab chaos. He's trying to declare martial law, and the way how he has to do that is what you're seeing here right now. All right, he's inciting chaos. People are about to be financially fucked. All right, there's a lot of division going on here in America. All right, a lot of people are fed up. People are ready to take it into their own hands, into their own matters. All right, you got hesgeth. All right, searching for those who are for Trump and searching for those who are against Trump. All right, so America is really divided, now more so than ever. All right, so we're about to see that civil war. It says, and the spirit of evil shall fail in the midst thereof, and will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards, and the Egyptians will and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of the cruel Lord, and the fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord, and the Lord of hosts. And that's what you're seeing right now. A very tyrannical government, as what these people are seeing. All right, and all of Trump's men. All right. Dystopian. It's beginning to look real dystopian out here. All right. It's beginning to look real dystopian. Oh fuck! This can't even load. What the hell? Can load. Dystopian, described as profoundly bad, undesirable, or frightening imaginary society characterized by oppression, suffering, and dehumanization, an opposite of utopia. And that's what we're seeing right now. Alright? Dystopian fiction often portrays societies controlled by oppressive governments, loss of freedom, individuality, constant surveillance, and propaganda. And that's what we're about to see, right? Esau is about to put, mass surveillance. I was watching a video not too long ago. I will post it on my posts on YouTube. I was watching this video not too long ago, but Esau is about to, implement a central bank digital currency, all right, the social credit score system. And in that video, all right, he didn't, the video might basically didn't say that it was a social credit score system or, the central bank digital currency that Esau is about to implement, but that's what's coming, all right. People are gonna have a social credit score system, and and Esau is gonna basically surveillance, monitor you, monitorize what you say, what you do, what you're searching up on the internet, and hey, your points can go down and shit, and they can restrict your movements and what you buy. All right, Esau is about to do all that shit. All right, basically taking most of your freedom away from you, all your rights. And that's what Esau really wants to do. All right, he wants to be as God. Yeah. Here we go. Fuck. 24 chapter. But here is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. I'll start with verse 4. Actually, I'm going to start with verse 3. It says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition." And that this man of sin that's being revealed is Esau. All right, everybody's waking to the fact that this is the devil. All right, he's making some major moves. All right, he's making some major oppressive moves. He's causing a lot of mass destruction. All right, people, even their own women, all right, are talking against them. All right, because they're saying that this, the problem in this world is mainly Esau. All right. He's causing the most destruction, right? He's causing a lot of mass death. All right, this is the son of perdition that will soon be destroyed. But it says, verse 4, "Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God saith in the temple of God, show himself that he is God." And that's what Esau is about to do even more. All right, once he implements the CBDC, the social credit score system, the universal basic income, and ultimately it's going to come down to, the MOTB, the charagma, the CHIP, all right, which will be implemented underneath people's skins, all right, a digital device that is going to be used by the way of, buying and selling, all right. And this is what Esau ultimately wants is, total control. All right, he wants to be as God. All right. He's going to set up mass surveillance, a surveillance system, monitoring everybody, controlling what they do, where they go, restricting their movements, right, locking people down, using the social credit score system, to do all that. And all that shit, is definitely coming. All right, you watched it in Black Mirror in that one episode where that white girl, all right, they had the social credit score system. Every time when their numbers go down and shit, all right, they basically were restricted from doing certain things, restricted from traveling and shit, right? Not being able to do certain things because, the social credit score system was lowered, all right, deemed as untrustworthy. This is the kind of system that Esau wants to implement, ultimately for total control, order out of chaos. And you see that Esau is doing that shit, right now in certain countries, like the UK, talking about the digital ID. Over there in Vietnam, talking about the biometric verification, all right? And all that is going to come to America. Ultimately, it's going to be worldwide, but mainly it's going to come here to America, all right? But nonetheless, you know, this is the beginning stages and shit, which is good. You know, fuck this place, you know. This is hell. We're dwelling in, you know, captivity still. Alright, we're not free. Alright? We still got to wait upon Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. And yeah, things are going to get crazy and shit out here in America. But as things get very tyrannical out here, alright, you know, as Esau is about to come down with great wrath, really, you know, we can't take matters into our own hands. Alright, we gotta wait upon Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Alright, so a lot of things are happening. Alright, and all we can do is just keep on, you know, doing the will and wait upon Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, because it says here in Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 8, it says, "Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all there shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy." So yeah, you know, we gotta wait upon Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Alright, we can't take matters into our own hands. Alright, we're in Esau's kingdom right now. And you can see that Esau is about to gain a whole lot more power. Alright? Through these draconian measures that he's about to set up when things get bad real soon out here in America. Alright? Esau's about to implement draconian measures. Alright? He's about to set up checkpoints. When things get so bad, you know, that's what he's going to do. But ultimately, he's going to declare martial law. Carnal man, carnal. Yeah, you see? And we can't be carnal in these last days either. It says, "For to be carnally minded," Romans chapter 8, verse 6, "For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace." So yeah, you know, we gotta move with wisdom, all right? Applying what the scripture says and not taking matters into our own hands. And hey, there be situations where, hey, you gotta take the low, all right? You gotta take the low. Verse 7. "Because carnal mind is enmity against Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be." So you see, being carnally minded is enmity against Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. And we don't want to be carnally minded, right? Because being carnally minded leads to death. Alright, and that's what it says right here. Alright? You know, you see all these other examples, like all these niggas on the internet taking their lick back. But guess what? You know, they get 10 years in jail or, you know, prison. Alright? They get themselves into very sticky situations that they can't get out of. And especially in this time, alright, since you got all these things happening, what you see on the news, alright, we can't be carnally minded. Alright, we gotta move with wisdom. Alright, because shit's getting bad by the day. Right? You know, you hear about mass shootings in all different kinds of countries. I don't know, suck it. You hear about mass shootings all across America, including that one church that just got shut up. You know, schools are being shot up and shit. Alright? But nonetheless, you know, I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises, honors, and glories to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, and Shalom. But yeah, you know, things are happening, and yeah, see you in the next video.